In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan sits down with Cameron Hanes to discuss a wide array of topics, including outdoor life, hunting, athletic training and performance, doping controversies, political issues surrounding public land and environmental policies, and broader societal concerns such as government influence, media distractions, and health matters. Their conversation weaves personal anecdotes with broader reflections on culture, sports integrity, and environmental stewardship. Cameron Hanes shares insights into his passion for hunting, particularly bow hunting, and the management challenges facing wildlife populations, such as black bears in various regions. They emphasize the importance of understanding real animal behavior beyond the sanitized portrayal in popular media, noting how bears and other predators profoundly impact ecosystems. Hanes recounts experiences hunting bear in Alberta, describing the intensity of hunting grizzlies and black bears and the significance of managing their populations to preserve balances with other species such as moose, deer, and elk. He also touches on the cultural perception of bears shaped by characters like Yogi Bear or Smokey Bear, lamenting how these narratives obscure the real nature of these animals. Discussion extends to encounters with mountain lions in California, highlighting the challenges of wildlife management in densely populated areas. Hanes criticizes poorly designed wildlife crossings and stresses that nature involves risk and survival realities that can't be fully controlled. The conversation also addresses recent political threats to public lands, particularly in western states like Utah and Oregon, where legislation seeks to open protected areas under the pretext of wildfire control or development. They underscore the dangers of giving away public lands, the need for expert stewardship by biologists rather than politicians, and the critical importance of preserving these natural spaces for generations to come. Hanes reveals his lifelong commitment to running and fitness, recounting decades of endurance training from childhood through adulthood. He discusses the evolution of his training methods, noting that while he previously ran extensive mileage with limited rest, retirement allowed him to focus on recovery, sleep, and specialized training that improved performance. This shift led to personal records in marathon running well into his late 50s, marking significant achievements despite a previous serious foot injury, a Jones fracture, that he managed non-surgically with innovative treatments. The episode contrasts endurance athletes' training styles with the detailed, stimulus-specific regimens employed by elite runners preparing for Olympic qualifiers. Hanes acknowledges his informal approach focused more on functional fitness for bow hunting rather than professional competition, but has embraced some advanced training principles inspired by his son's coaching and experience. Weight management and body composition for competition are also examined, pointing to the extreme leanness necessary for elite marathoners, well below standard body weights for most adults. A substantial portion of the dialogue addresses doping allegations and the use of performance-enhancing substances in sports. Hanes openly admits to using BPC 157, a peptide known to assist soft tissue healing, to recover from his foot injury, stressing it is not considered performance-enhancing and is banned only for Olympic athletes, not for recreational competitors like himself. He discusses the blurry lines around supplements, therapeutic use exemptions, and the complexities of drug testing protocols. The discourse includes how many endurance athletes might unintentionally ingest banned substances through contaminated supplements, and the sometimes contradictory rules governing what substances are legal or prohibited in competition. Rogan and Hanes criticize the culture of instant accusations and haterade from some professional athletes and commentators, particularly those ideologically opposed to Hanes's hunting lifestyle. They explore the challenges athletes face, balancing personal health treatments with anti-doping regulations, pointing out the limited resources available for testing large numbers of amateur competitors. Hanes distances himself from accusations of dishonesty or cheating, emphasizing transparency about his treatment history and the fact that his peak performance came years after the injury treatment. The conversation also stresses the mental toughness required to train and compete at high levels, particularly with long work hours and minimal rest, highlighting Hanes's unwavering dedication despite injury and fatigue. Rogan and Hanes agree on the importance of positive discourse, criticizing the cynicism and need for demonization that often characterizes discussions around competition and fitness. The discussion delves deeply into recent legislative efforts threatening the protection of millions of acres of American public lands, most notably the proposed repeal or alteration of the roadless rule, which safeguards approximately 45 million acres from road construction and resource extraction. Hanes and Rogan dissect the motives behind these moves, implicating political figures like Senator Mike Lee from Utah and others who leverage wildfire control, affordable housing, and border security as justification for opening protected lands to development and exploitation. They describe the complex and often opaque political process, emphasizing that these decisions are frequently made without adequate public input, obscured by distractions from other news topics, and compounded by the influence of lobbyists and corporate money. The conversation touches on the strategic layering of various controversial elements in legislation to erode protections incrementally. Hanes describes the unique nature of the U.S. public land system as a shared national treasure, arguing vehemently for its preservation. He advocates for public mobilization, encouraging listeners to contact their senators to voice opposition to rollbacks of land protection. The narrative critiques ballot box biology, where wildlife management decisions are made by voters rather than experts, leading to mismanagement and ecological harm. The episode also covers related environmental controversies, such as border wall construction through Big Bend National Park in Texas, which is executed without public bid or environmental oversight, affecting pristine wilderness areas for questionable gain. This example serves as a symbol of larger systemic issues where political and financial interests override scientific guidance and public welfare. Rogan and Hanes reflect on the nature of modern media consumption, including social media's ability to trap users in negative or fractious content while obscuring substantive knowledge. Rogan speaks candidly about reducing his digital exposure to improve mental health and avoid toxic or incoherent content. They discuss how social media algorithms amplify extreme voices, including conspiracy theorists and disinformation, contributing to societal polarization. They highlight the tension between being informed about complex global issues versus falling into despair or cynicism, underscoring the importance of cultivating hope and positive motivation even amid troubling news. Rogan praises Hanes's optimistic and solution-focused attitude, citing it as a major reason for his wide appeal and his ability to draw high-profile guests who trust his genuine curiosity and fairness. The conversation critically examines the U.S. healthcare system, focusing on nonprofit hospitals' financial practices. Hanes shares data revealing that many nonprofit hospitals are highly profitable, yet provide minimal charity care, benefiting wealthy executives with exorbitant salaries. The duo questions the ethics of these institutions receiving substantial taxpayer subsidies while failing to deliver proportional community benefits. The episode broadens this critique to philanthropy in general, referencing powerful foundations like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as nearly profit-driven entities with complex ties to corporate interests and public policy, especially around health initiatives like vaccines. They highlight cynicism around the motivations behind charitable actions when entangled with immense financial incentives and political influence. Both Rogan and Hanes call for greater transparency and accountability in these sectors, pointing out large-scale fraud and mismanagement risks. The discussion touches on how the military-industrial complex and energy industries exert outsized influence on politics and policy, including through dark money and lobbying, shaping decisions that affect war, environmental regulation, and public welfare. They reflect on recent political developments and their impacts on public trust and governance. Topics include the consequences of excessive corporate money in politics following the 2010 Citizens United Supreme Court decision, which equated corporate spending with free speech, but markedly increased dark money in campaigns. Hanes and Rogan discuss how this has tilted political power toward wealthy donors and special interests at the expense of ordinary citizens. Hanes expresses frustration with current political dynamics, including pressures that force administrators and lawmakers into compromises that betray voters' expectations, especially regarding border security, foreign policy, and environmental management. The conversation recognizes the complexity of governance amid competing priorities, but laments the erosion of genuine public representation. They also critique the performative aspects of political theater, such as Veterans Day appearances, executive orders without substantive follow-through, and the use of influencers or public figures to legitimize certain agendas. Hanes shares personal experiences with invitations to the White House, explaining his ambivalence about participation when it conflicts with his values or exposes him to potential exploitation for political optics. Throughout the episode, Hanes shares colorful stories that enrich the conversation, including interactions with prominent figures, incidents with lightning strikes, alligator attacks, and wildlife behavior. They discuss the nuances of hunting ethics, animal population dynamics, and the realities of outdoor survival. There is also detailed discussion of food and nutrition, referencing the preparation and enjoyment of wild game meat, such as bear, including unique recipes and the practicalities of cooking with rendered animal fats in remote settings. Hanes emphasizes the nutritional benefits of traditional diets based on wild protein sources compared to modern industrial alternatives. The hosts touch on societal trends such as animal rights movements and radical environmental proposals targeting hunting and ranching practices, citing specific ballot initiatives in Oregon aimed at restricting animal use. They also discuss technological advances relevant to their lifestyles, such as mobile apps for betting in sports and the effects of social media algorithms on public discourse. Hanes highlights his achievements beyond hunting, including breaking world records in endurance activities like the 24-hour pull-up challenge, emphasizing his exceptional physical capabilities despite advancing age. This dedication to physical excellence serves as a testament to his philosophy of discipline, integrity, and pushing human limits with authenticity. He offers perspectives on how aging athletes can adapt training and lifestyle, balancing intensity with recovery to achieve personal bests, and challenges stereotypes about declining performance tied strictly to chronological age. This segment illustrates his holistic approach to health, fitness, and lifelong personal growth.